Anyway, here's a tree that flowered a lot and just has a handful of fruit on it. It's starting to bloom again. This is where we're going to get fruit this year. This looks like yeah, it is an ice cream. Nice compact little tree. Not the easiest variety to grow. And we were just looking, like you can look over here. This tree's flowered a little bit later. This guy here, what do we got? We got so many of them now, I have to look at the label on some of these. Washed up. Yeah. And you see all the fruit this guy's got on it. Some of these were affected a lot more than others by this cold or damp weather we had a few weeks ago. But a lot of them just look like this. It dropped everything. It's gonna drop everything. A lot of them are gonna flower again. Now, we're expecting in a couple of days some cold, really cold weather, down in the 30s. And when it gets that cold, sometimes the embryo, the actual seed, gets killed. Not on all varieties. Some are more resistant to cold than others, but I expect we're going to see some of that this year. You know, all of these trees like this that have got all this fruit on them, you may see some of that stuff not get very big. One of the most notorious, I guess, for getting what they're called nubbins or flat seeds, it occurs when you get this kind of early bloom. This is an exception, early flowering season this year. Then what happens, I know with Hayden, and I'm not talking bad mouthing about the Hayden mango, except that it's one I specifically know, that when you get really cold weather and the fruit are developing when they're small, the embryo is killed. The seed dies, but the fruit stays on there, and you get fruit about the size of a golf ball. A lot of them. And that's from the fact that the cold has killed the seed. And the seed produces the hormones that stimulate the fruit to actually develop. Well, it's a little more complicated than that, but that's pretty much the story. So that's why if you got some varieties and later on in the season you're going to see a lot of really small fruit, that's what happened. This can happen when you get a really early bloom like we've gotten because it's been so cold early in the season. Now, for most of your fruit, and if you got trees like this that haven't done anything yet, there's a good chance with this cold weather that we're going to get some more flowering. When your temperature drops down into the mid-50s, 4 or 5 or 6 days in a row, that's pretty much what it takes to really trigger blooming, as long as the foliage is fully mature. So I think, and even some of these trees where the first bloom was rotted off basically from it doesn't like the fungus or the cold, wet, mangoes don't like, flowers don't like. But a lot of those will probably flower again. And some varieties, Gary mangoes especially that way, the first bloom is always only has male flowers. And you look like you're going to get a bunch of fruit, and then nothing develops. Then it comes out with bloom later on, not nearly as much bloom, but they hang on in bunches almost where the female flowers have come out. So, but that's not totally rare, but it's very few mango varieties do that. So anyway, the growth here, these are some trees, small, beautiful little trees spaced out, plenty of air circulation, a little closer to the ocean than the trees where my house is, and it looks like we're going to have a really good set as long as that cold front that's coming in here in a few days, and it's supposed to be down in the, hopefully not into freezing temperatures, but pretty darn close. And I'm hoping that doesn't kill the embryos on a lot of these and we get some really small undeveloped fruit and not much else. Because I don't think trees that look like this are going to decide to flower again. But trees that don't have much fruit or no fruit are very likely to flower. So We'll see.